General check-in. How are you? Little talk today about boundaries. I feel like we've covered that before, and it's one of those things where I guess I could practice it every day and still not get it right. So yesterday, really awesome day. I made a to-do list, which I don't always love doing, but I had a really packed day, 10-10, 20-20. Everybody wants to get married on these magical number dates. So I got up early. No, I didn't. I got up at my regular time. The first couple had asked me if I would make some scones for them. It was Lawrence's 87th birthday. I made some scones for him. So I get up, I meditate, I get the scones made. The first wedding is fine. And then, I think I got a nice walk in with the dogs. Then off I go to the second wedding. The second wedding is really close to one of my favorite knitting stores, which is called The Sated Sheep. It is out in Dripping Springs. The owner, Allison, is a friend of mine, and she has a wild story, wild. And it was made into a TV movie. It was in People magazine. The short version is when she was, many years ago, she's 5 months pregnant. She's a second mate on transferring a yacht down the coast to a yacht show. And there's two guys on the boat. This is good. I'm glad this popped into my head. And they get hit by a storm, a hurricane or something. The yacht capsizes. They're in a lifeboat together. I hear William. Meow. They're in a lifeboat together, being circled by sharks. And they're just about to drink salt water when the Navy SEALs, I think it was found them. And I was helping Allison write another, a book version of that story. And I remember through email, I found the guy who pulled them out of the boat. And I emailed him, and his partner wrote back to me. Anyway, that was a cool exchange. That obviously affected that man for the rest of his life, that he had rescued these people. But whilst they were in that lifeboat, they didn't like each other to begin with. And the lifeboat was damaged. And I think they were stuck in that boat for maybe a week. And they had to figure it out. They had to figure out, among other threats of death was they think they all wanted to kill each other. So there you go. That's a great story for me to remember this morning. I am always working on boundaries. I have a lot of catching up to do because I don't want to say I've had shit boundaries in my life. I didn't even know boundaries was a thing, right? And I'm thinking of this time last year, whatever. All these examples are flying into my mind of when I've done things that my friends might say, well, you really let that person take advantage of you. And I'm from this school of well, be as nice as you can. And some people are like, well, that's people pleasing. In the language of recovery, we can look at boundaries through all sorts of different schools of thought, and it can just get really confusing. I think I mentioned this. I'm taking a break from all of the philosophies and theories and recovery work and everything for the next few months, and I'm just going to work on just being. I don't regret any of that work. It's brought me to this point, but my head is just full of theories, psychological theories, recovery theories, and I'm kind of ready. I'm ready to make a boundary with that. So getting back to yesterday, anyway, I went by Allison's knitting shop, and my friend Gus, I told you about the other day. God, I love Gus so much. And he asked me to knit for him. And don't get any ideas, you guys. My knitting queue is full. But so I went and I got what I needed to knit him what he wants. He wants a vest. And I got to thinking, man, I'm just going to start knitting vests. I'm going to bring knitted vests back. And then on I went to the next wedding. That went off no problem. I apologized in person to the bride because we'd had a little bit of a stressful email exchange because they had to switch venues because of COVID and whatever. I just sucked it up. I didn't have to suck it up. I just looked at her and I said, I apologized in email a while ago, but I said, I just want to look you in the eye in person and tell you, I'm sorry I got stressed out. And she said, it is okay. So that was nice. And then from there, I zipped into Austin, and I had a little time before my next wedding. So I posted yesterday, I bought some badass boots. And it's weird, when I make a big purchase these days, I know I don't need to justify stuff, but I wonder if some people think like, what the fuck, what are you doing buying like fancy boots in the middle of all this craziness? Hey man, self-care, and I'm helping the economy keep going. And I shop locally. My friend's own heritage boot. It's great. If you can get some boots, I don't know. I just put on my boots. I feel great. So I go to the next wedding. That couple, they were so sweet. We had a great time. And then I get in the car and I come back to the ranch for my final wedding of the day, which was, they were supposed to be there at 6:30. I got home around a little bit after 6. Some of the people are already there, so they're there early. It's supposed to be a 90-minute time limit. And the bride, you know, they're supposed to be there 6:30 to 8. The bride arrives, around 7:20. She's not dressed. It's getting really dark out. The photographer or somebody told people to drive onto the lawn so they could flash their headlights on the chapel. I'm like, what the fuck? Don't drive on my lawn. You know, maybe if they had asked, I would have thought about it, but it just felt so violating. And then the bride gets here and she has to get ready. So we moved the whole thing to the reception hall. So now I'm in a closed building with these people. I opened all the doors. I have my mask on. And then the bride's just about to walk in. She's like, oh, I forgot the ring. So then she's got to run back in the house. And I'm just like, in my job as a wedding officiant, and also, of course, as a funeral celebrant, I take it seriously. Not like I'm super somber or whatever, but like, this is a big day for these people. I don't want to have a shitty attitude. I don't want to have a cookie cutter attitude. I've probably done 2,000 weddings, but I want to bring like my genuine good energy to their wedding. So it's getting harder and harder for me to get in the right headspace for this. But finally, we've got the bride and groom in the building. We've got the people are in there. And I thought I did a really good job of like getting centered and grounded and giving them the best ceremony that I was able to give under the circumstances. And then I went and I got in bed. I'm like, guys, have a good night. See you later. And in this, I'm having these little exchanges with people in between and whatever. The groom's like, do you want more money or whatever? I'm like, no, I just want you to get the fuck out of here. Respect my time. And I didn't say that, but I thought it. Anyway, so I'm in bed with the dogs because it was a long day. I'm watching the TV. I'm knitting. I'm in my happy place. I got my ice cream. I'm back on the ice cream. Surprise. And all of a sudden, somebody is bashing on my bedroom window right like 2 feet from my head. And I fucking flipped out. Like, even if I didn't have PTSD, I think I would have borderline had a heart attack. I was screaming and yelling and flipped out. And I came running into the living room and the groom's in here and he's like, she forgot some stuff. I thought they were already off the property. And I really kind of let them have it. My mind kept telling me like, don't be a dick and it's their wedding day. But I was just like, there is no excuse to bash on someone's window. He's like, well, we left stuff in the house. I said, the front door is unlocked. You know that. This is the rental side of the house. I don't know if I'm making any sense. I know I just sound like a cranky old crank this morning. But I felt violated again by these people. And then they left. And then I momentarily went into paranoid land. Like, oh, they're going to come back and like burn down my house or whatever. And I caught myself being paranoid because then I'm like, well, I got the dogs and I've got my guns. And I'm like, don't need to think like that. But it just reminds me, very rarely do I feel out here. I'm not entirely alone. I have folks that live out here at the property with me. But very rarely do I feel like super vulnerable or scared or whatever. But when my boundaries get violated, it does rattle me. And it makes me think, you know what, I just don't want to do weddings anymore. Or I just go to the place of, I was freaked out, that's it. But the good news is, I feel like I got relatively grounded relatively quickly. As an aside, let me say, I get very tired of everything being like, oh, this is a lesson, or what did you derive from this? But I did derive something from it, and that was this. It's like, look at the statistics. If I've done 2,000 weddings or damn near close to it, I would say of those 2,000 weddings, I would say 1,985 of them, if not more, have been great, or at least okay. The problem people are few and far between, and they go away. And my job, I think, is to remember the statistics and to remember I make mistakes too. You know, I missed that one wedding last summer and whatever. Anyway, I'm rambling. It is a beautiful day out. I'm going to get back into a good headspace and enjoy myself. But how do you handle boundaries? I think if I were a dude, I don't think they would have treated me like that. So let me just throw my feminist politics in there too, or my gender politics. I'm increasingly aware when people do take advantage of me, and I don't like it, and I'm still learning techniques for dealing with it. So, how do you deal with people when they're being fucking idiots?
Hey y'all, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you'll like and subscribe to my channel. And if you like this episode, I hope that you'll copy this link, share it with a friend, paint it on a wall, put it on your social media. That'd be great. Thanks a million. Take it easy.